Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to brand new video. James Madison fans, this one is for you. Now, Arsenal are definitely in the mix to sign James Madison with Tottenham Hotspur. We are the two clubs massively interested in signing Maddison, but it looks like Tottenham Hotspur are leading the race, and they do have an upper advantage in this deal. But we're gonna be talking about James Madison. The price is a little bit lower as compared to when Arsenal tried to sign him. I think last summer, but one. The price is much lower. Arsenal could be looking to pay around 40 million euros, or even less than that, for James Madison. We'll be talking about Granit Xhaka and Emerson Lokonga leaving this summer, according to the 90-Min podcast. Graham Bailey has been saying that Xhaka and Lokonga are both going to be leaving the club to facilitate moves for Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo. That would be really wonderful, as long as we don't deplete all our midfield resources just to bring in new players, because Jorginho has also received offers from Lazio, and what I'm listening and hearing too is that Arsenal are ready to sell Jorginho this summer. 10 million euros should actually do the deal. With Jorginho, I do have mixed reactions. I think he can leave, but I also think he's such a very good squad player. But we're going to be talking about Jorginho to Lazio. And finally, Emil Smith-Rowe is not touchable. He will not leave Arsenal. Mikel Arteta has actually made that very, very clear. He will not leave the club this summer, and we have the William Saliba contract situation in control. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast. Let's get this one to 500 likes. Let's get to the conversations, right? Let's get into the comment box below, and I want your thoughts here on Jorginho, because he's one of those that have had a good ending to the season. He's one of those where you'd feel another season is surely guaranteed, okay? But look, if you want Caicedo and if you want Declan Rice, it means, El Neni, Jorginho, Lokonga, you've got to get rid of these guys. They're not going to be in the conversation a lot for game time. So do we let go of Jorginho? Has he impressed you, first and foremost? During his time at Arsenal, scored that beautiful screamer against Aston Villa, one that actually led us to think we might be, doing heroic champion scenes. Eventually we didn't, right? But look, he's had such moments. So are you really sympathetic to the extent that he stays, or is it okay even if Arsenal decide to move him on? I would love to get your thoughts around there. But right, let's get into the James Madison talk coming in from the Times. Now, they're saying that Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur are both interested in signing James Madison from Leicester City after Leicester did get relegated. I also understand that Tottenham Hotspur are leading the race to sign James Madison, and it's also believed that James Madison might actually tip the favors, tip the scales in favor of Tottenham Hotspur rather than Arsenal. And I think the reason there is that he sees himself as a starter. He sees himself as a starman at Tottenham Hotspur, and he sees himself as an important player at Tottenham Hotspur. While at Arsenal, you have players like Martin Odegaard, Saka, and maybe it's not going to be that regular starter every single day. So Arsenal will have to pay 40 million if they really want to sign James Madison this summer. 40 million, that is massively lower than the 70 million they were asking for. Leicester were asking for 2 summers ago. I want your thoughts, I want your opinions on James Madison. Of course, all of us on this channel do have the bias on James Madison, and I think that bias is rightly so. Right? Although Martin Odegaard has had 23 goal contributions this season, 8 assists and 15 goals scored, James Madison has massively overperformed at a drowning Leicester City, amassing 19 goal contributions in the last season, assisting 9 times and scoring 10 times for the Foxes. So should Arsenal sign James Madison? Look, in my opinion, I think he's the player we need. I think he's the kind of player that we need. Yes, he doesn't have all the attributes of a Santi Cazorla, but like I've already said, Santi Cazorla is one in a generation talent. Like Cazorla, Iniesta, those kind of guys, you see them once in a while and they will disappear and you will never see them again, right? So maybe one day Arsenal will have their own Cazorla, maybe in Chalopatino, maybe, but it's not going to be tomorrow. So for me, James Maddison is a perfect fit for Arsenal. Now, we do not have one single player that we can trust in free kick situations, in set pieces, in set piece situations. I think James Maddison could be signed just because of that ability. Don't get me wrong. I think Odegaard's deliveries on free kicks are okay, but they're not satisfying. I think Saka's deliveries on free kicks are an absolute shambles, to be honest. They are pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And I think in that squad, when you get a free kick around the penalty area, it's very, very difficult for us to go, Odegaard is standing on it, this might go into the back of the net. Well, James Maddison, just like James Ward-Prowse, you look at those two players and you're like, if he stands on that free kick, they better get ready. Right, and I think he can get better. He's 26, the Premier League experience already, that he has already amassed at at Leicester City. Come on, he's not a championship player, right? Leicester know this. He's not a championship player, and he's not going to be one of those players that stay with them in the championship this season or next season. He's not going to be among those ones. So for me, Arsenal, this would be a very good move. 40 million or even less than that for James Maddison, a very creative player. That means that we can deploy two creative midfielders on the pitch. Martin Odegaard on the other side of Bukayo Saka, and of course James Maddison as that kind of number 10. And of course I've said always that Odegaard seems to me more like an Ike Gundogan, good with the ball, very good with controlling the tempo of the game. And there's also a player that loves game management. Maddison, on the other hand, seems like a more attacking, creative midfielder. Goals and assists, okay? I think that's why we signed Fabio Vieira, because Fabio Vieira is more of that. But it's not given us that this season. And we have ultimately already created a new role in the team where Xhaka has been occupying. You have that second midfielder literally playing as a striker, literally playing as a support striker. And James Maddison playing as a support striker. Talk to me. Really talk to me about that. So it's going to be very interesting to see as we watch the space where James Maddison will be going. Tottenham Hotspur, of course, do have a new manager in Ange Postecoglou. I think, look, it would be a massive signing if they sign Madison. It would be a statement signing if Postecoglou signs Madison as his target number 1. Because I tell you what, that Spurs side with Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Dejan Kulusevski, and all these other players, they've not replaced Christian Eriksen very well. They brought in Rodrigo Bentancur, they have Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg, Bissouma, but they don't have the creativity. So if he goes to Spurs, he makes them a much better side. But if he comes to Arsenal, we make him a much better player. That's number 1. We offer him UEFA Champions League. That's number 2. And number 3, he has a chance to win silverware at Arsenal, better than any chances of winning silverware ever in his life at Leicester and Tottenham. Of course, don't get me wrong, he's won silverware with Leicester. They've won the FA Cup. That was really amazing. But to be honest, the next 5 years, 10 years at Arsenal are more brighter than Tottenham, just to be honest, okay? So let's wait and see where that one is going to end. I would love him to come at Arsenal. You guys know how much I love James Maddison, and £40 million is just a bargain. Okay, let's talk about the other two positions in midfield, where Xhaka and Albert Sambi-Lokonga are expected, not expected in a way that they might. They will be leaving Arsenal Football Club this summer. Albert Sambi-Lokonga has had a failed loan deal at Crystal Palace for the better part of the season. But what we understand is that Vincent Kompany wants Albert Sambi-Lokonga on a season-long loan deal with an option to buy. Granit Xhaka, of course, a deal has been agreed already with personal terms agreed with Bayer Leverkusen. It's just a matter of time, a matter of Arsenal signing in a new midfielder, and then Xhaka will be, waving his boots to the Arsenal fan base. Look, both of them are leaving. The interesting story is that Graham Bailey, writing with 90 Men, has actually said that these two leaving will facilitate moves for Rice and Moises Caicedo to come in, okay? And that's where we are. Look, that is a massive midfield revamp. If Caicedo replaces Lokonga and Declan Rice replaces Xhaka, I'm all in. I'm absolutely all in, okay? It's that's an upgrade. That's what you call an upgrade. You remember when we signed Mesut Ozil and Arsenal's midfield literally shot up, to high levels because you had Ozil now in that midfield, like super player, and then you had the likes of Ramsey, who are good players but they were not world class. Ozil is the world class guy that just made us much better. I think this is more like that. Xhaka leaves, Lokonga leaves, and then you sign Deckers, who has the ability to become world class, and Moises Caicedo for me is the next N'Golo Conte. That guy doesn't pick up many yellow cards, doesn't make so many fouls on the ball, but the way he wins the ball back cleanly, the way he controls midfield, the way he navigates the midfield, his passing range, the energy, the physique. He's not very tall, but he's always everywhere in midfield. So for me, this would be a very good move, a very, very good move for Arsenal. If Xhaka and Lokonga leave and Declan Rice and Caicedo come in. Of course, with Declan Rice, I've already given you the maximum of the updates, with the latest coming in from the chairman of West Ham, David Sullivan, confirming that the player is set to leave. He's played his last game for West Ham. Moises Caicedo, in the next few days, according to Fabrizio Romano, we will hear updates. But if Arsenal are going to sign Caicedo, it will be after signing Declan Rice. So let's watch the space as well. But what is actually worrying for me is that Arsenal are now trying to do a midfield clear route, with Jorginho also on the leave. Now, it looks like Lazio have already offered Jorginho a 3-year deal. They're asking him to reduce his wages. They want to give him a 3-year deal or potentially a 4-year deal, in Italy. The other Milans, including Inter Milan and AC Milan, are also interested, and Arsenal are ready to sell. And that is why I asked you about Jorginho. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on Jorginho? Is he the kind of guy that should just be around? Like, I don't know. I want your thoughts. He's definitely, covering some part of the wage bill. Okay, so if you pushed him out, it means you would free up some wages. Same with Xhaka, same with Lokonga, same with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and all these other players that are actually going to leave that we're not using very, very much. So it's understandable. But losing Xhaka and Jorginho and potentially Thomas Partey, that doesn't sound right with me. That doesn't sit well with me. This is my opinion. Lose Xhaka, lose Lokonga, lose Ainsley Maitland-Niles, because potentially now he's a midfielder. Keep Jorginho and keep Thomas Partey. The reason why I'm thinking about this is this. Jorginho is an experienced player who has won the UEFA Champions League, the UEFA Euros with Italy as well, and he could have won the Ballon d'Or. He finished third. I think Arsenal need Jorginho's services. Arsenal need the leadership of Jorginho. Arsenal still need the pedigree that he brings to the table, especially now that next season is going to be the first complete season in around 20 years that Arsenal start a season as contenders for every piece of silverware they are fighting for. We will be Premier League contenders. We will be FA Cup contenders. We will be Carling Cup contenders or Carabao Cup contenders. And we will be UEFA Champions League contenders. Okay, that's a little bit awkward, but we will be, right? So Jorginho is a massive asset. So is Thomas Partey. These are players that are approaching their 30s. Of course, Jorginho is already in his 30s, but Thomas Partey is approaching his 30s. Think about the experience that he has amassed, over the years. You don't want to lose that for a 24-year-old Declan Rice and a 22-year-old Moises Caicedo. What you want to do, though, is bring in, Rice on top of Partey and on top of Jorginho, and bring in Caicedo on top of Partey and top of Jorginho as well. So It makes sense if we sell him, like 10 million euros. That would be very good. We signed him for 12. Arsenal won't have made any losses, and frees up the wage bill, like I said. But I would rather keep him for another year. That's what I would do with Jorginho. Now, Arsenal are in total control of the William Saliba situation. All reports regarding Arsenal being surprised and overwhelmed with the demands of William Saliba are actually very, very wide of the mark. It looks like we are in control. And you love it when Arsenal are in control. I think Saliba will sign a new deal. I'll do a video about William Saliba. Like, I will do a video about William Saliba. But even if I don't, I think he will sign a deal. And Mikel Arteta has just made it very clear that Emile Smith-Rowe is untouchable. He doesn't have any plans of leaving or losing Emile Smith-Rowe. So that should be made very, very clear. Smith-Rowe, keep or sell? Definitely keep. And let's wait and see if he can resume the levels that he was playing at last season, part 1. Hit the like button for me, subscribe to the podcast. Let's continue the conversations in WhatsApp, on Twitter, and also definitely in the comment box below. And I'll speak to you right in the next one.